Good afternoon and good morning to our friends on the West Coast, and welcome to today's webinar, How Advisors Use GReminders and Wealthbox to Automate Their Practices. As we're letting folks make their way in, we'd like to get everyone comfortable with using the Q&A portion here. And we'd love to hear from you. With Halloween upcoming, we'd love to hear what is your all-time favorite Halloween movie. So as folks make their way in, please use the Q&A. Let's get everyone comfortable. And we'd love to hear from you. What is your favorite Halloween movie? And we'll get things started in a minute or two here. And as folks are making their way in, Ziera, I will start with you. All-time favorite Halloween movie for you?
Honestly, I'm a bit of a classic. I love classic movies, and to me, really anything Stephen King deserves that spot. So yeah, I really love Pet Sematary. I grew up like that being our family Halloween movie that we would always watch. So yeah, Pet Sematary is definitely mine.
Oh, we've got a couple good ones coming in. Mine, this will give it away. This is from my childhood. I love the old Casper movie, if you remember that one. That was one of my favorite
That was a
Halloween
good
movies. That and Hocus Pocus were always on the children of the 90s here. A
one.
couple good answers. Child's Play, an absolute classic, as well as Psycho. Those are good ones there. All right, let's kick things off. Welcome to all here. Today we are joined by our friend Ziera Burnett here with GReminders, and today we're going to be going over how advisors use GReminders and Wealthbox to automate their practices. I'm Andrew Ladwig, Director of Business Development here at Wealthbox, and I work with all of our integration partners. Today I'm really excited to be joined by Ziera Burkett. And along with that, I'm really excited because she has been a Wealthbox user actually previously in the past. So she has been, for those of you that are Wealthbox users today, she has been in your shoes, has used it, and now works with GReminders. So we'd love to get a little bit of your background before we dive in here.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. And thank you for having us. A little bit about me. I do come from the financial services industry. I was a marketing director for an advisory out of Florida for a number of years. So I totally understand like a lot of the pain points that, advisors are experiencing with scheduling and sometimes, integrations with their CRMs. Before I moved over to GReminders, I worked for an advisor consulting agency where we essentially built out operational processes for CRM databases. So I've built all kinds of CRM databases, Wealthbox included. So I eventually migrated to GReminders now, and I do partner relationship management. So I'm essentially facilitating integrations, partnerships with other fintech to kind of create a better ecosystem in the fintech space and obviously for advisors.
Fantastic. As we get things kicked off today, just to set the agenda, we're going to be walking through brief demos for those of you that have not seen Wealthbox or GReminders in action. We'll be showing those off via the integration. As I mentioned at the top, we also do have a Q&A functionality built in here. If you've got any questions on Wealthbox or GReminders, feel free to put those into the Q&A, and we will be sure to touch on those on the back end of our conversation. With that, I will kick things off, and we will start with a walkthrough of Wealthbox. And for those of you that have not joined, Wealthbox is the modern CRM for financial advisors. And as we're diving in today, everything that we're looking at is going to be available to you on our free trials. That includes setting up all of the integrations that we're going to walk through here. If you'd like to review those or anything else Wealthbox wise, you can do so right at wealthbox.com. But I will kick things off here today as I pull up our dashboard here within Wealthbox. I am logged in as fictional advisor Brad Creedon here, and I am logged in under ABC Financial. One thing to note for those of you that are growing, whether it's with multiple different geographic locations or multiple advisors under the same roof, we do have the ability to set up multiple workspaces. So here I've got a different geographic office, as well as you're able to set up permissions within, within Wealthbox. On the right side here, you'll see your day at a glance. We have a two-way integration with both Microsoft Office as well as Google Workspaces that Sierra will dive into a bit further, but being able to see exactly what's on your calendar that day or upcoming that week, any tasks that are assigned to you, any workflow steps that are assigned, special dates, so things like birthdays and client anniversaries are all available here, as well as open opportunities set to close over the next 30 days. On the left side of the page, you'll see our left navigation panel with dashboard, email, contacts, tasks, workflows, calendar, opportunities, projects, files, and reports, and an easy way to navigate back to recently viewed pages here as well. The big differentiator with Wealthbox in the marketplace is with our publishing tool right here in the middle. And one of the easiest things about Wealthbox is adding notes just takes a couple clicks. So I can use our feature here with spoke to Delilah Jones and use our transcription capability about her 401k, and we'll follow up with her in 2 weeks. This right here, I can post with just one more click. This goes directly down into our activity stream and automatically rolls up to both the client as well as the household. When I click on the client here, it brings in our flyout panel. Directly from this page, I can make calls, send emails, quickly see special dates for that client and see the various contact roles for that client. As I open up Delilah Jones's profile here, you'll get that same feel on the right side with all upcoming tasks, workflow steps, or events for this client or prospect, any open opportunities and special dates, any open workflows. You'll also be able to see that activity stream specifically for this client. So whether it is notes, tasks, internal notes, all that can be seen right here. And another feature that firms love, you can also see all emails back and forth here. So whether it was yourself or another member of the firm, you can see those outbound and inbound emails. Those are going to be captured here automatically. With that, Sierra, I'm going to pass the baton over to you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's see here. So this is the GReminders platform. A little bit about us for those who don't know. We are an automated scheduling platform. We essentially are driving traffic to make sure that we're reducing no-shows. We want to streamline those processes. And ultimately, we would like you to live out of your CRM. So we are a platform that you hopefully set up once, update a few times a year, and kind of forget about us and just let us work in the background of your CRM. So when you first log into GReminders, this is kind of your hub. This is what you're going to see. This is where all of your calendar events that you've integrated with the GReminders platform are going to live. So this is really just at a glance. This is not your calendar. This is not what you're going to work out of. This is just, hey, here's what everything is on all of the calendars that you have integrated, and this is what that's going to look like. A little tool that I find helpful is this little reminder bell here. This actually just lets me know how many reminders I have scheduled or sent on specific events. So on our navigation menu here to the left, I can manage my calendars here on the calendars that I would like to integrate. I can set up my client reminders and my personal reminders. I have my scheduling tools. So this is where those event types are going to live, meaning whenever I'm building out my meeting types, which I'll take you through the process of doing that as we kind of talk about the changes that we've made to GReminders since we last spoke with Wealthbox. This is also going to be where our management navigation menu is. So that's going to be our team events whenever we have maybe multiple advisors taking certain types of meetings, or maybe an advisor team, like an advisor and their CSA. That's where these events are going to live. Our routing forms. To create continuity throughout your company's GReminders platforms, we have introduced reminder and event type templates. So that way, whenever there's major changes made to your organization, like perhaps moving office locations, changing a phone number, you're only having to change that in one space rather than having to go in through each individual user's event types and changing that criteria per event type. That can become really cumbersome. You're also going to see our bulk send feature here. We typically see that for webinar invitations. We have seen that also be used for annual review notifications, a text message sent out. It's time for your October annual review. You'll take care of that here. And then, of course, those usage reports, which we love reporting. So all of the introductory meetings that you're taking, all of the meetings per advisor, things like that, you'll be able to pull those reports if you need them. As well as our organizational settings. This is where things like the integration with Wealthbox is going to live and the settings within that. So this is our left-hand navigation. Some of the things that I'm going to talk with you about are 3 major changes to the platform now that we have kind of heard advisors once that are working with Wealthbox and kind of what they'd like to see from our platform. So that's going to look like automating the launching of your workflow templates through our platform against certain meeting types. So if people are scheduling an introductory meeting, we can launch that introductory prep process workflow, things like that. And I'll show you kind of what that looks like. We also do custom field mapping. So all of those custom fields in Wealthbox, you can assign those on your scheduling forms and we can update and input all of that information against the contact card. And then routing to custom roles in Wealthbox. So we can use our routing forms to get the specific client to the correct advisor through routing forms. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of take you through an event type build out, and that's where you're going to see our custom field mapping and the ability to launch workflows automatically. So for this specific example, we're just going to build out an introductory meeting. Whenever we look at this box here, this is all public, client facing, prospect facing. This is what our meeting is going to be called, obviously, the description. This is all customizable, as well as this here. You can make this say whatever you want. If I just wanted it to be dentist meeting, introductory, etc., you can customize that. These are available location options. So for my introductory meetings, I like to offer a phone appointment, an in-office appointment, and a Google Meet, but we also integrate with things like Zoom and Skype. You can have multiple office locations to choose from. Again, completely customizable. The calendar we want to create this event on, it's going to be my primary calendar. That's my work calendar. The event booking. So this criteria is going to look pretty, at whatever most automated scheduling platforms booking criteria. There's, it's how many days can we schedule this out? Does this require approval? The duration of the meeting? All this is pretty straightforward. But something to note is our meeting category here. This is going to talk to your task category in Wealthbox. So whenever that event gets scheduled, you'll see that show up in Wealthbox as well. So these will pre-populate based off of your integration, and then you can just select which one is applicable to the kind of meeting that you're building out. You can select your availability range for when you're available to take certain types of meetings. This can get very granular with specific start times. I've seen some advisors offer, 9, 11, 1, and 3 are their only meeting times in the day. Otherwise, you can do availability ranges like 8 to 12. Maybe my office closes from 12 to 1, and then I open back up from 1 to 4, and that's whenever I'm taking those meetings. So you can get really, really granular with that. We can also mark your calendar off on all major holidays. I have seen lots of advisors accidentally schedule themselves for 4th of July. They send out a booking link and not blocking off their whole calendar. Well, now you don't have to do that. You just can select this and automatically we won't let people book on your calendar for those major holidays. So this is where we see the beginnings of custom field mapping. So in my current Wealthbox database, I would like to have information on if they're a Medicare recipient or and also their veteran status. So in my contact card, on my custom fields, my veteran status and my Medicare recipient status, and I want that collected on my introductory meeting with people. So I'm going to build that in here. So basically all you do, and I'll show you this on the integration side, you're just going to create a custom question in GReminders. Are you currently a Medicare recipient? Yes or no? Same thing with what is your veteran status, active duty, retiree, non-veteran. And then whatever button they select will get written back to the contact card. So it's a great way to collect information that is, necessary pre-appointment. First name, last name, email, phone number, address. You can also create one-off custom questions, or if you have pre-existing questions kind of created on your platform, you can select those here. Your address, you can select to be updated, and I'll show you this on the integration mapping. If you have a client that changes their address and they forget to tell you, we can automatically update it in your CRM for you, as well as create new contacts if we find that this contact does not exist in your database. So that's really great for those prospects and specifically on introductory meetings. You can do all the same things in post-schedule questions. So let's say it's not necessary that I need to know their Medicare recipient status or veteran status, but I would like to know it. But they don't have to select that if they want to schedule with me. I can just set up a post-schedule question and all of those same things right back to the contact card, the same they would if they had the initial form. This is our calendar invitation. These are variables. They're just quick buttons that you can insert here, and they'll put these little variables in there so that way it pre-populates automatically for you, so you're not having to type out every single time a calendar event or go in and edit the calendar event. We want this to be, completely automated. You can accept payments on specific meetings. You also have the option for our standard thank you page, which I'll show you, or you can custom redirect to any URL. And then this is that second feature that I was talking about, being able to launch those workflow templates. So GReminders will look at your Wealthbox workflow templates and populate a list of all of them. You can set one or however many you'd like, whatever is necessary for your business, and a drop down. So there's no tricky automation criteria, if this, then that. You're just selecting a workflow. And then once somebody books through this meeting link, it will automate that workflow to be launched automatically, connected to the contact card. And then if you have within that template any roles, teams, users built out, it'll send all of those workflow tasks to the correct person. So to kind of just show you, when we're booking, this is what that link looks like. So everything that we just built out, the available times, who it's with, this is the client-facing information I spoke about. You'll just select the time. For this sake, my name is Rob Bethel, and this is my information. So am I currently a Medicare recipient? Yes. Am I a retiree? Yes. My information, and I want to do a phone call. So I would schedule that. And that is for 11 a.m. Thursday, October 26th. You're going to see that populate immediately on your calendar for Thursday, October 26th at 11. And then in my contact card, you'll see things start to happen. So we'll have workflows launching. You'll see the meeting is scheduled. Any reminders that go out for this will also be written back to the notes section of the contact card. My contact details, the address that I inputted, any of those custom fields that I had mapped out. So I want to show you specifically where those custom fields live. So in the organizational settings, we have integrations, Wealthbox. And if you scroll down, you'll have this cool mapping field. So it's relatively straightforward. You'll select the field name in GReminders that you created, which again is our veteran status, and that will populate the list of all of the available fields that you have mapped out in Wealthbox. So you want to match veteran status to veteran status, and then overwrite the existing values. So that's really great if that veteran status changes. So let's say that they're not retired yet and they're not Medicare recipients yet, but when they schedule with you 2-3 years down the road, you can overwrite that existing value for when that changes. So you're not having to go in automatically and change that custom field value. We do it for you. And then the last thing we want to do and what I want to talk about is ownership routing. So we have things in GReminders called routing forms. And these are essentially forms with, it's like, these pre-questionnaires, if you will, that's going to route the client to the correct advisor. So that way you can send out this routing form rather than really specific meeting links, and it will automatically route them to the correct advisor. So when we look at our roles in Wealthbox, we have advisor, CSA. These are my custom roles that I've built out. Advisor, CSA, who's their Medicare advisor. And for this routing form in particular, I want to route them to the correct servicing advisor. So in the routing form, my internal description, routing to service advisor, this is what they'll see, because I'll show you again. It kind of looks very similar to that initial event form that I showed you previous whenever we were scheduling. So I have all those same questions here. It's not necessary to build it out this way if you really just need their email, but you would input all of this information. And then that'll bring you to the if this, then that. So I want to have an introductory meeting scheduled for the email on the contact card in Wealthbox to match what they input on my form. And then that's going to map it to the ownership field, which is advisor. So this should bring me, this routing form should bring me to Nancy Briggs, which is somebody in my at my firm, her introductory appointments. So let's see here. We will schedule. So see, it looks very similar to the previous routing form on the event type. Continue. And it brings me to Nancy's introductory meeting. And now I can schedule on Nancy's calendar. All right. So with that, Andrew, if there are any questions, I'm happy to kind of go through those, but I really just wanted to touch on those really major changes that we've kind of updated in the platform to be a little bit more advisor versatile.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ziara, as I watch this, I'm I'm starting to think of, quite a few different ways that advisors and their staff can use this. I'll actually start out with a question. Just I am curious from your team standpoint. We talked a little bit about, appointment setting or confirmations. Are there any other use cases that you're seeing or hearing from advisors that might not come to mind right off the bat, but that you've seen be really powerful in using GReminders?
Yeah, so I mean, specifically from the client reminders standpoint, there's a million things, because we're really trying to like reduce no-shows in your business, for your firm. So when we look at client reminders specifically, not only can you get really granular with the criteria that you're setting these reminders against, but we have reminders for a general reminder for an appointment. You can make those 24 hours before, 5 minutes before, a week before. Any follow-up post-meeting reminders, or notifications. If you've got, oh, we just had an introductory appointment and I automatically send a welcome email, just to touch base, you can set that up with GReminders. Those initial booking notifications, of course, so that way it has a text message, an email, a phone call. Reschedule notifications. So whenever we talk about living in your CRM and not living in GReminders, if I had a reschedule notification automatically set up in my GReminders platform, all I would have to do, if Rob called me and said, I can't make Thursday at 11, I said, okay, Rob, when can we speak? Let's do Thursday at 4 instead. I can drag and drop this on my Google, my Outlook calendar, whichever, and I can send this, but I can also send that reschedule notification automatically. So he'll get something that says, your meeting was rescheduled to Thursday, the 26th at 4. Mm-hmm. That's a great use case. And then same thing, of course, with cancellation. If I delete that off of my calendar, Rob can get an updated cancellation notification that it's been canceled. And, if you'd like to reschedule, you can click here. You've set all of that up yourself. This is a completely customizable, reminder content body, and you can insert those variables. So that way it's quick and it's easy to build out. It's straightforward. So yeah, to me, those are the best use cases there for that.
Yeah, we've got a question coming in from the crowd here, a good one. Let's say there's an advisor on the Eastern time zone, and they've got a client that's, say, on Mountain time. What does that look like when using GReminders? Does that then show up as local time for the client? Does that show up as the advisor's time? What does that look like?
Oh, great question. So in here, you'll see on our event booking criteria, we have time zone, dynamic, or fixed to yours. So you have both options. It's whichever you prefer to operate out of. Dynamic, of course, is if I'm Eastern and they're Mountain, they're going to see Mountain. If I want to keep it fixed to my time zone, they're going to see East Coast hours. So yeah, it's totally up to you and how efficiently you guys use that.
Fantastic. A different question came in that I can help answer here. How does GReminders compare to other scheduling vendors out there when it comes to kicking off workflows in Wealthbox. I will give GReminders a huge thumbs up that they stand above the rest in their capability. They have built with us so that when something is scheduled or when they have something set up to kick off a workflow in Wealthbox, it will then do so. That is something that we don't have with other scheduling providers out there today. So I will give them a big thumbs up that they've worked closely with us to get that done. Follow-up question here. Can you change the form so that the person completing the form doesn't necessarily see all the questions on one page, or is there a capability to split that into multiple pages for a prospect or a client?
Sure. So what I would recommend there is when I was speaking specifically to the initial form questions, and then I spoke on post-schedule questions. So if there's things that aren't necessarily required to book with you, just information maybe you'd want to collect, but admittedly maybe not scare off a
Yeah.
prospect, on asking and trying to take in all of this information, because I do know that that can be kind of
Yep.
like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to answer that. So yeah, I would recommend breaking up those questions, put them in post schedule. So that way, once
Okay.
they already schedule and they say, you get that GReminders standard thank you page. Well, then the next thing that it automatically routes them to is, answer a few more questions for us. And maybe that's where we're putting things like veteran status, Medicare status, do they have annuities, things like that.
Fantastic. And we'll finish up finally here, Ziara. What is the best way to get in contact with the GReminders team? And how does someone get started if they're interested?
Yeah, sure. So you can definitely head over to greminders.com/wealthbox. That's going to give you the 10% off. If you were here for this webinar today, you'll get 10% off the platform just for attending. So of course, we really appreciate that. And then of course, you can set up a demo and try it for free through that link as well. If you want a little bit more direct, you can definitely email us, sales@greminders.com, and we can get you really started on helping you build out the platform for GReminders. We hold your hand the whole way. And just a little plug, we are so confident in our platform that we are currently offering to buy out your existing Calendly contract if you migrate to GReminders. So we're hoping that the product speaks for itself.
Fantastic. A couple great reasons to get in touch with their team and take a look at things. For those of you that are new to Wealthbox, curious about what we spoke on today, I know I mentioned it earlier. Please do get in touch with our team, sales@wealthbox.com. You can check out our integration page for those of you that are current Wealthbox users, wondering how you might be able to get GReminders set up. We do have a specific page for that as well. With that, again, Ziara, thank you so much for joining. It's exciting to see what you all have continued to build with us on the integration side. And with that, thank you all who have joined us for today's webinar. There will be a recording. We will post that directly on the Wealthbox and GReminders integration page. So keep an eye out for that. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Ziara, great having you on today. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.